Welcome back to the Blue Attack Path. We're going to be doing registry keys for persistence. And just a quick review from the previous technique, we used a SOX proxy to execute commands. We learned about a tool called crack map exec and executed a variety of tools. We also created a user account called admin team X, and then we disabled the firewall. So this tool I want to introduce to you is a common tool used by defenders, and you should be familiar with this tool. It's called AutoRuns. It comes from Microsoft, from the sysinternal suite. So with this tool, I would like you to become familiar with it. I would like you to install it on any Windows 10 computer. It doesn't have to be the Windows 10 that we're getting ready to compromise in the environment. It can be your host, it can be another Windows 10, or it could even be a server. But I would like you to install AutoRuns and run the GUI. Notice that there is a command line utility that can be executed, and you can run it across the network too, through WinRM. So go ahead and evaluate the results and pay attention to the items that are highlighted and pay attention to what you have running in the background. You may be surprised at what is actually running on your computer in the background. So getting into this technique, we're going to be using the registry, and this is key right here. Adding an entry to the run keys in the registry or startup folder will cause the program reference to be executed when a user logs in. So we're actually not going to put the code that we're going to execute in a run key. We're going to find another place in the registry to place our code, and then when that code is accessed, it'll be executed. But similar concept in a run key, you could have it run PowerShell or a command or an executable that you compiled and placed on their disk, and it would run. You could also place it in their startup folder. Real quick, just a summary of what we're going to cover in the next few slides, because we're going to introduce some new topics and new concepts that you may not have ever conducted prior to this. The first item that we're going to do first task is we're going to create some C# code that will be base64 encoded and stored in the registry. The registry location, we're going to pretend it's in a 7-zip folder, and it's the certificate for 7-zip, because sometimes they're base64 encoded where they're stored. And then we're going to create a scheduled task that will execute on the login of a user to conduct the following. It will execute PowerShell that's inside the scheduled task to read the C# code from the registry. The PowerShell will compile the C# code in memory and execute it, and then you'll be able to look at the code and notice that a Spencer.d account has been created by running netuser. So again, the first item is we want to create some C# to add an account called Spencer.d with a password, write an executive summary. Notice here's the URL that you need to connect to, and you'll get some code similar to this. And I've just created a folder under Enzyme Reg Backdoor, and I call it code.txt. In here, you're going to have to come in and change these commands a little bit. This execute command, I have it creating a user account called sysdiag with the following password. You'll want to change that to the instructions up here. And then down here is the execution of the command to disable a firewall using CMD. So this code is all stored in a file. Undecoded, it just looks readable. Then you're going to take the code, you're going to cat it, catcode.txt, and then you're going to pipe it to base64 with a -W0. What the -W0 does is, if you run base64 without the -W0, it'll truncate your lines. It's almost like in Notepad, turning on word wrap. Well, by saying -W0, you're disabling word wrap. And we will conclude this video and continue in just a moment.